And get started.
You ready?
Let's go. Ready.
All right. False alarm. Let's start that over. You ready? That's my bad. There we go.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I am all right. How are you? Very formal.
I fixed it. It's a very formal. I'm wearing my tuxedo.
I see that. Well, how's it going this week?
Good, man. What are we drinking? I want to get straight to this shit.
So we're drinking 19 Crimes Cali Red.
Oh,
It's
shit.
got Snoop Dogg on the cover for anyone watching on the video.
I didn't even know Snoop Dogg had a wine.
So I don't know that it's necessarily his wine, but all the different versions of the 19 Crimes have a different person on it. So anyway, one cool thing I really like about it is the cork. You pull the cork out, it's got Snoop Dogg's face on the cork. So
Is he still going by Snoop? Because I know he was Snoop Lion for a while.
Snoop Dogg, Snoop Lion. I don't know.
He's still the fucking man.
Oh, yeah. I love Snoop.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we've not had this before, but it was recommended by our guest that we will introduce in a moment. Cheers.
Or do you want to wait? Let's wait.
Yeah,
cheers.
you know what? Let's wait. He's drinking some wine as well. So, tonight, based on the recommendation and seeing his shit on Facebook, it's great stuff. He's got a couple of podcasts. Interesting guy. We have the uncle of Eazzy.
Yeah.
Trevor Jackson. Trevor, how is it going?
Oh, man, I'm blessed. How y'all guys doing tonight?
Oh, we are all right. We are all right. So we've got our Cali Red here, and what are you drinking?
I'm drinking, I can't pronounce it. I'll be trying something crazy. It's Rosette Caliul Chate Bordeaux Superior, something from Whole Foods. That's what we should call it.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, cheers, brother.
Cheers, man.
I'm jealous of y'all right now.
That is a little sweeter than any cab I've ever had, but that's not bad.
I feel like we're some fancy bitches tonight drinking wine.
Do you feel like that?
Yeah.
There's a spider directly to your right coming down on a web.
Fuck me.
Hey, man, me knowing where y'all located, that y'all better make sure it's not a brown recluse.
No, it's not. It's not. It's that was funny. That was funny.
No, that was not funny.
I hate spiders as well. I just that was funny. So anyway,
so up until this point, like this is the first time I've spoken with you. Joey's interacted with you a little bit, but like I said, like you said, we had Eazzy on a while back, and we had fucking great podcast.
Oh,
man.
God,
so much fun.
The most fun episode we've ever done. Which he actually came in and sat in here with us, and we had a blast. So
yeah.
So you come highly recommended from him, and then just seeing the stuff you guys are doing on your two podcasts, and then. And the topics that you bring up on Facebook. So you do two podcasts. One, the named after you, the Trevor Jackson Podcast, and then you have another one with another guy, and I can't remember his name right now, but it's two brothers
Troy.
from Sea Hills. Troy. Okay.
Yeah.
So Trevor Jackson Podcast. Tell us a little bit about that. What's going on with that one?
Well, the Trevor Jackson Podcast, my individual podcast, it's like just a conversation with people that's artists, chefs, authors, just people doing something that's interesting, man. And it's just a good conversation. That's all it is. And then I do book reviews and shoe reviews on the podcast. And
oh, nice.
Just all kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Cool stuff that interests me or whatever.
So shoe reviews, what is the best shoe you've reviewed?
I can't pronounce the name of it neither, but the Nike Gaia Kusi or something. It's a Japanese Nike shoe.
Oh, nice.
And it's comfortable. It's so comfortable. It's ridiculous. You know, me being a Tennessee guy, we outdoors people in Tennessee. I like running around Lakeshore Track.
Yeah.
That's my thing, man.
Nice.
And those Nike Gaia Kasukis or whatever how you pronounce it.
That's cool. I obviously run a lot.
Yeah, I can tell.
Run to the refrigerator back.
Yeah. So we you're talking about just interviewing people doing interesting things. So when we started deciding to interview people around here, we initially just were looking for local business owners that we could have on here, that whether they wanted to promote their business or not didn't matter. We wanted to talk to them about it and just have them hang out and be on an episode. And we've slowly kind of morphed into anyone that we find interesting
or that's willing to come
or
on.
that's willing, because we've had a couple of business owners turn us down, and that's fine. We get it. If we don't necessarily line up with everyone's brand, but you know, whatever, it's fine. So anyway,
where are you going with that, dude?
well, I was just putting the two together.
God.
That was we should have started out doing that instead of just looking for local business owners. I mean, he's got the right idea. Just anyone that's interesting. So,
well, but it started. The only people I knew around here were a couple of local business owners. That's where that kind of got.
That's true. That's true. So, neither of us are from Knoxville. Are you from Knoxville?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Knoxville, but I don't live there anymore, though.
You don't live in Knoxville anymore?
No, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Know that. I thought you did live here and that you bounced back and forth from here to Charlotte. So okay, then I misunderstood everything. So okay,
hey man, I would be in the studio with y'all.
That makes sense because he was just saying, dude, he's such a bitch. He doesn't want to come in person.
No, that's what I said. I was like, I don't know if it's a COVID thing or what, but he's zooming in. He lives here in Knoxville, but okay, that makes way more sense now. Way more sense now.
Where are y'all guys originally from, though?
So we're both. Well, you're from parts unknown. You're from all over the place. You've lived everywhere.
I grew up in Fayetteville, Tennessee.
Yeah, and I grew up in Pulaski, Tennessee. So so that's right close to the Alabama. Well, both Fayetteville and Pulaski are both on the close to the Alabama state line. So
yeah, but I moved around a lot. Born in California, and then all over the place until I was like 6 or something.
Yeah.
Why are you in Tennessee if you was born in Cali, man? You supposed to be enjoying the sun,
it's my dad, man. They're all from Tennessee, and then he was out there for work when I was born, and then moved back, and we moved all over until I was about 5 years old, and then we kind of settled in Tennessee. But then I left for like 15 years or so
something like that,
and then ended up back here again. So go figure, man. I like Knoxville though. I just moved here to Knoxville about a year ago, and I fucking dig it here. It's cool.
Yeah, I've been in Knoxville about 7 years now, and 7 years now. Wow, it doesn't feel like 7 years, but
I know.
But I like Knoxville a lot. I say a lot.
I know a year here with you has felt like 7 years.
I say I really, really like Knoxville, but I'm not in love with Knoxville. It's a strange thing, but I really do. I can't imagine moving off and being anywhere else. I mean, shit, it took us 20 some odd years of being friends to be living in the same city or close to each other again.
It has not been worth it.
So it may take a while before I move anyway.
Knoxville is a beautiful city. It's a clean city. It's a multicultural city. I love the city. The only thing I don't like about Knoxville is that I can't make no money there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't make no money there. I just can't make no money there.
So you do a lot of music stuff, right? Don't you do? Yeah, that's what I thought. So have you found, I mean, obviously you're saying you can't make any money here. Like, what seems to be the biggest issue on that front in Knoxville? Well, the music scene in Knoxville is not great. I mean, I'll say that, but.
Well, Charlotte is actually better than Charlotte, North Carolina, because Charlotte is it's not a music city. It's more like a banking city.
Yeah. Dude, I've worked in Charlotte a few times, and there are so many fucking banks downtown. It's crazy how many banks there are in Charlotte.
Yeah, it's just based on banks, but I like making money. So that's what I was complaining about not making it in Knoxville. So I can't complain about making money here.
So what is your day-to-day 9 to 5? Like, what do you do as a career?
You don't have to mention your company.
Yeah, you don't have to say the company, but just.
I won't, but I'll tell you I can mention the companies and everything. I'm wide open. I'm an open book.
All right.
I do a lot, man. I'm a real estate broker.
Oh shit.
I'm an order selector at Cisco Foods. I'm a podcaster. I do graphic design when people want some graphics or whatever. I'm all of the above, man. I just do whatever. I feel I'm capable of whatever.
Nice.
I'm a recording artist, a CEO.
Nice.
I got multiple artists on my record label, Cold Blooded Records. Eazzy, one of them, my nephew.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then I got Jack Boy. He just released an album called Money Talking. So I do all kind of stuff, man. I'm just trying to make ends meet, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, anything you want to promote, brother, throw it our way, and we're happy to throw it in. Throw some links up, whatever you want.
Hey, man, I'm thankful. I'm thankful to be on your show, man.
Oh, and if you got any of your own stuff that you want to throw out, I'm happy to tack something on to the end of the episode to play us out after the fact. If you want me to throw something up, I will.
Yeah, any song.
Man, that's what's up.
Yeah, if you recorded it or you just produced it, either way, however you're going to do it. So.
Yeah.
So
we've said this before. We're both incredibly failed musicians. Me more than Joey, but you know.
What music y'all into though? Like what y'all play? Yeah, I know y'all ain't from Tennessee, so I know it ain't bluegrass.
No. I guess in high school we played in a really shitty punk band together, and then we played in a more indie alt country pop rocky kind of band in our early 20s.
And then I got too good for you guys.
Sure, that's what happened. That's what happened.
No, I joined the military and I was gone for a while, and I did the solo thing for a while. And it's kind of acoustic. I called it drunk rock because it was just kind of rowdy.
It was really good bar rock. His solo stuff was just great bar rock. Like if you're in a dive bar, that's who you want playing in there.
All original stuff though. No.
Yeah, all original stuff. Yeah, but now if you're like in an amphitheater, or if you're in a large venue like the Bijou or something like that, you don't want him anywhere near it.
Fuck you, man. Fuck you, you dick. But no, I had to get it wasn't a healthy lifestyle for me. Sure. And also I could never get out of like a regional amount of success. So,
you're not willing to play the game.
No, I wasn't willing to not do drugs. It was a big part of it. Yes. Yeah. So got a grown up job now, you know, and stable with the family. Like I said, you got to make that money.
That's a fact.
But I know
this is fucking good wine, dude.
It is not like any other.
I'm gonna have a fuck of a headache though. I can tell you that right now. So? I'm gonna drink a lot of this.
Right. What's your normal drink? Tell me.
So we try to drink something different every week. We've went through numerous amount of Irish whiskeys, bourbons, Tennessee whiskey, gins, tequilas, vodka.
Not as much vodka though.
Not as much vodka. I have a brother that makes moonshine, so we had some moonshine one night, and then.
But this is the first time we've had wine, though. So.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. In our New Year's special, we did champagne. We didn't do wine, did we?
Right.
We did champagne. So yeah, I think this is the first time we've done wine. So.
Well, you know what y'all need to call this episode?
What's that?
A Cabernet conversation.
Let me write that down. A Cabernet conversation.
I'm going to call it Trevor's Bossy. That's what I'm going to fucking call it.
My fault, man.
No, man, I'm just kidding. Oh, shit. Well, so how are you? So you're from Knoxville. How long have you been in Charlotte? You might have said this and I wasn't paying attention, but.
Nah, I didn't say it. I've been in Charlotte for, it'll be 5 years next year.
All right.
It'll be 5 years, and I lived my whole life in Knoxville before that.
Like I was in Charlotte a good bit for work last year.
Right.
I liked it. I liked Charlotte pretty well, being in and out of there anyway. But
yeah.
What now? Hunter is not
Raleigh.
It's Raleigh. Okay, Raleigh.
Or
okay.
Apex.
Apex. Yeah, Apex. Okay. Well, there's a guy that listens to us that we've had on a couple times. That's from North Carolina as well. So I'm trying to.
He's a giant douche. So you're not in that same category.
Well, he is about 24 years old. So I mean, it goes with the territory. So
adding the name.
Hey, y'all boys, y'all just sipping, man. Y'all supposed to be, you know what I'm saying?
He's calling us out, man.
So we have when you have a hard out at about 8:45, right?
Hard on?
Hard out. Like right, you said
I'm with y'all, man. I'm rolling with y'all right now.
Right. That's even better. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your other podcast with Troy. So that's the one I've seen the most on like your Facebook group from that different conversation starters that you guys have. You seem to have a pretty interactive following in your group there, which is great. So, all right, Steven's one glass down.
Uh-oh.
Suck it.
He said, I'm not playing with him, the Snoop Dogg. You know what's fascinating? I heard you talk about the Two Brothers podcast with me and Troy, but you know what's fascinating to me about that wine y'all drinking?
Mm-hmm.
Snoop Dogg is a gang member, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And he's affiliated with the Crips, the Blue Gang.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And it's
but he has
wine.
a drink called Cali Red.
So I think what it is I don't know that he's necessarily associated with this. I think that this company has different reds named after different people that have been arrested for different crimes.
But he's still affiliated. His signature on
sure,
the damn
but I'm
thing.
just saying
he's getting money from this fucking bottle.
Probably is getting some money on that, but yeah. But I guess there's not a blue wine, so.
That's the
blueberry wine. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
who's sang that song "Strawberry Wine"? I was thinking about that randomly yesterday.
I don't know.
That shitty
country
song.
music song. Yeah. That was so popular.
It's about the moon watching them bang.
It is. It's about two people losing their virginity. Yeah.
Oh man.
Anyway.
Yeah, dude.
So
continue. Like he gave me no information before this, so this is just meeting you. So I not that I would have done research anyway.
I give you a name. All you have to do is look it up, man.
That's fair.
So the two Brothers podcast. So tell us a little bit about that, because I know you got a healthy following on Facebook, an interactive group of fans, and I've seen some different things that are like definitely conversation starters and some touchy. I guess touchy may not be the right word, but some definitely hot topics that could cause heated debates in some of your stuff on there. So tell us a little bit about that podcast.
Okay, so we changed the name from Two Brothers from Sea Hills podcast.
Okay.
To the Two Brothers podcast.
Two Brothers podcast. Right. Okay.
Because we don't want to minimize ourselves, and where we're from doesn't even matter.
Right.
Okay.
Actually, you know what I mean? And Two Brothers podcast is myself, and I'm located in Charlotte, and it's Troy Smith, and he's located in Nashville, but both of us are from Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
And we are from the inner city of Knoxville, the poor part of the city.
Mm-hmm.
But we've elevated in life. That's what we would like to say. And we like to have intellectual conversation about whatever's trending at the moment, educational topics or whatever, and touchy, hot topics too. Like we touch on racial topics, racism topics. And to be honest with you, I got a question to ask y'all. What do y'all know what the definition of racism is? Or racist?
I couldn't tell you. So I couldn't tell you whatever the Webster's Dictionary definition, but I've always kind of said a racist is someone that thinks that other races are less than their particular race. But maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. The definition of racist is one concerned with their own race.
Oh, that's good.
That is. Ooh.
I mean, not that it's good. I mean, that's a very enlightening definition.
Yeah,
is what I meant.
For sure.
One concerned with their own race. So at the end of the day, who ain't racist?
Right? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we just like to have intellectual conversation, touchy conversations, and we talk about politics a lot, and I call myself a Republican.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I can understand topics on the Republican side, and I can understand stuff on the Democrat side. It's just like a objective perspective. We just open to everything.
You mean you think rationally? That's fucking crazy. Yeah, what's wrong with you, man? Nowadays, dude, honest to God, like nowadays with anyone, that is such a rare trait to have.
It is very rare. Yes.
You know, it seems like more and more, and we've talked about this on another episode, that with like social media and their algorithms, like the more things that you consume, it feeds you more of the same perspective or things they think you like. And it does the same no matter if you're on the liberal side, on the conservative side, whatever. So people end up in these bubbles that the only information they're getting is catered to the things that they already believe in. So it's this confirmation bias constantly. And so then when they look at the other side, so to speak, it's like, why don't you know these things? You're an idiot, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And it feeds that division constantly because there's nobody ever sees the other side of whatever the discussion is, you know?
Well, I think last week or maybe even the week before, we brought up that especially young people, like every one of their friends, like they won't even most young people tend to be on the left side of politics right now in general. They're definitely are hardcore Trump trainers that are under 30, but all of those, well, on both sides of that, they're not even willing to be friends with someone that, like, if you're a Trump supporter, you're not even willing to be friends with someone that's going to vote for Biden, and vice versa. I mean, it's an insane, I don't know. The whole election thing is an insane thing to me. Let's just vote for this guy. We don't like him, but let's vote for him because we don't like the other guy more. Like someone told me today, said, "Who you voting for?" And I said,
"None of your damn business."
I said, "I don't know who I am voting for, but I know two people that I'm not voting for."
Yeah.
And they said, "A vote for a third party is a vote for Trump." And I said, "I understand that, but you're a Biden supporter. And if I were talking to a Trump supporter, they would say a vote for a third party is a vote for Biden. So it's all bullshit. And none of that shit matters to me. I'm not willing to vote for someone that I disagree with just because I disagree with the other person more. I'm just not willing to do it."
You can vote yourself in.
Well, so I found out today in Tennessee, you only have to have like 300 signatures to be on the presidential ballot in the state of Tennessee. Kanye is on the presidential ballot. I may vote for Kanye. I may vote for Kanye. I like him more than the two main candidates.
Us bipolar motherfuckers got to stick together.
300, I might can get on the ballot.
It's something like
that.
Dude,
if you get on the ballot, I will vote for your ass. And I don't vote for anyone.
And guess what? If you vote for me, heard my campaign speech.
Go ahead.
My campaign speech is free alcoholic beverages for the B3 podcast for 4 years.
Oh, well,
done.
I'll vote for you for sure. For sure.
Well, it's funny. Like Joey votes, and my wife is very politically minded and active. Like I'm very apolitical. Like I don't vote. I haven't. Like 9 years in the military. I've been 20 years as an adult now, or 19 years as an adult. 40 just about. And I consciously don't vote. I mean, I personally, and I had some dude just get so mad at me the other day for this, but like I feel like from a personal standpoint, the country was bought and sold years ago, and all the political side of things, I feel like it's political theater. Like we're given the option to vote, they count it, whatever, but I don't think it really has any bearing on what is actually going on. I think it's used as a tool to give people a perception of having some control over what's being put down. Like that's how I feel about it. So I don't like being a part of that.
Sure.
So I don't vote. But that's just my personal stance on it. And people get really like astonishingly upset at me for not like you're part of the problem, blah blah blah. And I like that. There's a George Carlin skit, or stand-up bit that goes along with that. And he was like, "You can't blame me for any of the shit that's going on because I didn't vote." Like you gotta blame each other, you know. And but that's me personally. People think that it's awful, but I mean, I believe that voting probably matters a lot more on a local standpoint.
For sure.
But on that front, I don't know the issues well enough, and I'm too lazy to learn, and I'll admit that openly. That's just a part of laziness on my side. But to me, that's where it would make a difference on a local aspect.
And I can expose myself on this podcast. I vote locally, but I don't vote for the presidents because that's not going to affect me. Yeah. But voting locally will affect me faster.
Absolutely. I just said that to my brother-in-law today. We were talking. So what my brother-in-law said was, I don't typically watch the debates, but I thought I'm going to turn on the presidential debate this year and watch it. And he said, and I watched it and said, this is the kind of shit that we have to vote for this year. Both of these assholes is who we have, your choices are in the election this year. And I said, that's why I didn't watch it, because I know I'm not voting for either of them. If I vote, I'm not. But I said, another thing is, no president, whether I like them or not, has ever affected my life whatsoever.
It's local politics that affect you.
That's it. It is. Mm-hmm. So, and it's interesting because I don't know enough about local politics that's going on because I just don't pay enough attention to it. But
we joked that I might at some point, just to see what'll happen, is run for local office with no experience or knowledge of the local government, just to see what'll happen, just for funsies.
Yeah.
We on the Two Brothers podcast I do with Troy, we had Daisha Lundy. She's the Knoxville County Commissioner.
Oh, that's awesome.
On our podcast, and she said a lot on the podcast. She was telling us about like the percentage of African American people that's in poverty in Knoxville, and it blew my mind because I didn't know those statistics.
It's huge.
I was like, golly, is that many people poor? And I didn't see that when I was there. I didn't think that people was as poor as the statistics are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when she broke it down to me, I was like, wow. And then how much in debt Knoxville College is up there on that campus. And I don't know why they won't even tear it down. Like, tear it down or build some businesses up right there or whatever. But like knowing your local government or whatever and the local laws in Knoxville, I think that the people are doing a good job. You really don't even have to change nothing there, to be honest, because the roads are clean, there's street lights on the streets, the sidewalks, you don't have to pay a state tax on your income. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, but those potholes can suck a dick. I'll just go ahead and say that.
But there's not as many in Tennessee as if you go into some
Arkansas
other
has the worst fucking roads on the planet.
Oh, yeah?
I hate Arkansas.
Yeah, Michigan. Oof.
Yeah, that's rough.
Oh my God,
man. But no, like, you know what's funny though about the poverty thing? Like my wife grew up very, very poor, like her family did. And, you know, she said it's one of those things too, especially growing up in it, you don't realize the amount of poverty around you if it's normal. And then, you know, it's not until you get out of it and you look back that you realize the level of poverty that's around, like hearing the numbers and the statistics. Growing up around it, there's probably not much thought given to it. But like I said, but then when you realize, when you elevated your circumstance or elevated your life, then you can realize, man, that was a rough time. Like it also levels up your respect for your parents to a degree.
Sure.
Depending on how your parents were, but like her mom was different, but like, you know, just working and keeping them going and was a big deal. Much more so. Granted, her mom is a crazy lady, but you know, but it helped. I guess what I'm saying is it helps you if you're able to break out of that area. It makes you really appreciate where you've come from and what you've done, and gives you much more empathy for that demographic, as calloused as that sounds. You know,
sometimes I would say a lot of times it does, but sometimes it doesn't though, because you tend to think if I got out of it, then so can you.
Yeah.
And which is the thing. I mean, I grew up poor, and then when I was in my early teens, my dad started a business, which my parents divorced when I was like 8 years old or so, something like that, 8 or 9 years old. And my mom never worked. My whole life, she never worked. My dad paid his child support every week, month, whenever he had to pay it. He paid it on time, and sometimes he would slip a little extra in there because he knew my mom wasn't working. And we did the typical every other weekend with your dad thing. And so I grew up poor, and then kind of was a little less poor as my dad's business kind of took off. But so many people, and because I know a lot of people that grew up the same way, and there's such a mindset of the poverty mindset is this. And to me, and I'm thankful that my dad stuck around. We didn't see eye to eye for many, many years, and we didn't have a great relationship. It's much better over the last, let's say, 8 to 10 years than it ever has been. But like, I'm grateful that he at least stuck around, paid the child support, spent time, took me to ball practice and shit like that, because that's a big thing that never gets talked about. And it's much more rampant in poverty-stricken areas where there's an absent father there.
Yeah.
Regardless of race, it's more rampant in poverty-stricken areas. And then it varies differently between different races. But that's a big issue. It's not to say that men are the end-all be-all, but they help a lot from a psychological standpoint with that poverty mentality.
And a man can also help the mental side, to the thought process of the mind, like when he's in a child's life. Because my father wasn't in my life also, but if he would have been there or could have been there, I could see if I have a child or if I had a son or whatever, like I could mold him mentally to think he's great, throw the ball with him, punch him in the chest. You great, boy, you the best. You know what I'm saying? And it's shaped the mindset from having a poor thought process.
Yeah, well, like my wife, my stepson, like she did an amazing job raising him as far as like morality is concerned. He's a great kid. He's 17 now. We have no behavior. Like she did an amazing job. When we first got married, he was 10 and he was a little biatch. Like, I don't mean, but I mean just the sensitivity and stuff. Great kid. But like I've been fortunate enough to have that influence on him where he's like, he can laugh at himself now. He's toughened up a lot. You know what I mean? He's the things that, again, just not to sound complete like a sexist asshole, but those masculine features that he wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Like I was fortunate enough to have a part of instilling those things, and I'm fucked up as they come, but he's turning out to be a good kid. And not to toot my own horn, but I mean, I feel like some of that's because of me being able to be because I look at him as my kid. Like he's not my stepson. He's my my son. That's how
sure
it is. But
well, I mean, when my wife and I started dating, she had a son that was 9 months old. And then we got married a few years later. And when we got married, he was 3. His dad has been in and out of the picture. But like, he knows who his dad is. He knows he can call his dad, but his dad's not really ever been around. He's always lived in California his whole life. He would see him once a year tops. And that's the same things. Like he just bought so he's 24 years old. He just bought a house.
I would have raised him, but I didn't want to interfere with him.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, so he just bought his first house, and then he pulled up all the carpet in there and stripped the paint that some idiot painted some idiot took 1920s hardwood floors and painted them white. And he stripped all the paint off and sanded it all down. He asked for advice where he needed it. He looked stuff up, sanded it all down, and then stained it and sealed it and did it all himself. And like, I couldn't be prouder of him. Like that's, I mean, I put that out on Twitter or whatever. Like as a dad, like I couldn't be prouder of him for doing stuff like that.
And I'm going to interrupt you. I will say Gabe's fucking awesome. Like he's such a great dude. Like, and he's like, he was saying, like, he's very open-minded to being able to think logically and look through things. I mean, I'm going to give you a rare compliment and say you did a goddamn good job raising your kid. Like, Gabe's a good dude, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And there was one time, I can't remember if I said this on here or not, but we were having some behavior issues with him.
Oh, yeah, when you made him shave his dreads?
Well, no, he didn't have, he didn't have dreads. He had this humongous afro, and I didn't do that. My wife did that. That was not me. I stayed out of that one. But she told him, because he had this whole persona when he was like in middle school, caught up in this hair, this big afro, and he had this whole hardcore persona, and he's not that in the least. Yeah. And he was given attitude, and she told him, if this doesn't change, I will make you cut your hair. And it didn't change. And then she did. She made him shave his head, but at that point on, there was never really that much of an attitude issue out of it after that. But I was going somewhere else with that before you.
Which
said
not
that
it matters to clarify. Joey has a mixed race family. Like my family is as redneck white as they come. But
that's what's up. That's what's up.
So I know what I was going to say when we were having these issues with him, and he was getting an attitude with me as the stepdad, and he's never called me dad, and that's fine. Whatever. If he wants to, he can. If he doesn't, I don't care. That's fine. But he was having a just this attitude toward me, and just looking at the kid and knowing his story, it's because his dad's never really been around, and he's taking that out on me because the other 2 kids that we have, their dad is there in the house with them, and that's an issue, and I get it. But we sat him down one day, and we were kind of talking about things, and I said, I want you to think about this from now on, as far as the way you treat me and talk to me is, out of everyone in this household, your mom, your brother, your sister, I'm the only one here that chose to be in your family.
Yeah.
Your brother and sister didn't get a choice in being your brother and sister. Your mom didn't get a choice in being your mom.
Well,
no, she could have not raised you.
She could have aborted.
She didn't get a choice of being your biological mom. And I'm the only person that chose that. And that's somebody brought that up a few months ago. All the family was hanging out, and somebody brought that up, and he said, you said that to me, and that fucked me up. He said, because I had never thought about that before. And my daughter started crying whenever they said that. My daughter's like, I didn't know you ever said that to him. That is the sweetest thing ever. Like, she was crying about it. I was like, suck it up.
And you should be appreciated for that, because that was a choice, and you had a choice to make. Which,
by the way, and I know this isn't parental shit, but Eazzy speaks fucking crazy highly of you, dude. Like, he really does.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Which I speak highly. That's my nephew, man. I can't say nothing.
Yeah.
He the man. That's the guy. That's my guy. Been in his life his whole life, man.
Yeah, we gave.
But you know what? Y'all make me want to have kids now, man.
No, do not have kids. It is the worst thing ever.
It's not the worst thing ever. It's not. we have very different views on being parents. Like,
no, we have the same view as you love your kids and you're good to them. I just wish I never had them.
Yeah, that's a completely different view that we have.
Do y'all mind if I ask y'all a question?
Yeah, go for it, man. Anything.
I done got tipsy, so it's probably kind of a crazy question. I got a question for Joey, and I got a question for you also. And I forgot your name that quick, and I'm sorry for that.
It's all right. I'm not going to tell you, though, just to make it weird.
Okay.
No, I'm Steven.
Steven. And I said Steve. That's why I didn't remember.
No, it's Steve's fine, too. Just think of like every douchebag on every commercial or sitcom is always named Steve or Steven. So just, you know, that'll lock it in.
So the question I got, I'm going to ask both of y'all the question. Y'all can answer it or y'all don't have to answer it. You know what I'm saying? The question I got for Joey is, what is your thought process on interracial dating? And the question I have for Steve is, do you think that there is a such thing as blacknecks?
As what?
Blacknecks.
Blacknecks.
Okay. Like rednecks, blacknecks.
Right. Okay. That's a great question. But yeah, go ahead. You first.
So
I have my answer already, but he asked you first.
So my thought on interracial relationships is, to be honest with you, I never really thought about it. I was just, if I was attracted to somebody, it didn't matter what their race was. Now, I lost friends when I started dating my wife when I was in high school. I had a guy on my baseball team. She came to one of my games. I think it was baseball, but she came to one of my games, and the guy said, "Is that your girlfriend up there?" And he's a white guy. I said, "Is that your girlfriend?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "We don't like that kind of thing around here." Like, oh, I mean, great. I'm really glad he said that to me, because then I know what asshole I don't need to hang out with anymore. I'm one of those weird people that I like to know who the racists are, the assholes, the bigots. I want to know who they are, because then I know who I don't want to be around anymore. If that's what you believe, say it out loud, because now you just let anyone that's a right-thinking person, when I say right, I mean correct thinking person, you know who we don't want to be around. I have a very odd thing. Like my wife and I have argued before about how business owners should be able to run their businesses when it comes to race and gender and things like that. But I've never thought a ton about it, as far as because I was always just, if someone was attractive to me, it didn't matter what their race was. It just was never a thought, really. I mean, I did know some things were going to be. What? No, you're good. Go ahead. I did know that there were going to be some things that might be issues in the little racist little town I grew up in. But outside of that, it was never really much of a thought. I was just attracted to whoever I was attracted to. Now, some of the black girls that I went to high school with before we moved to Knoxville, one of the black girls that I graduated with was a hairstylist or whatever. And I used to go to her to get my hair cut. And she said, "Oh, no, we all knew. Like, we knew you were going to end up with a black woman. We just knew." Like, I said, how did you know? She's like, "I don't know. It's just something. We just knew." Like, oh.
It's the same way I know you're eventually going to come out.
No, you think so? I might. Maybe.
I was like, no, I had a guy one time, I can't remember who it was. I was in the military with. He was like, "Dude, I know you're married. I know you're not gay." He goes, "But if one day you ever come out and say you're gay, I'm going to tell everybody, I knew it. I knew it the whole time. You're totally gay."
That's what my wife said. If she ever caught me cheating, she'd be surprised if it wasn't Steven.
Hey, the reason I asked you that question, though, is because I believe in oneness, and I don't see race. I think the first race is the human race at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I don't see race in. Yeah. Can
I challenge that just a little bit, though? Not to call you out. I'm honestly curious, because I feel like that everybody, and it might not be directed towards a specific race or another, but depending on your social upbringing, there are different things that you see negative in other races based on how you were brought up, how you were raised, whatever. And a lot of learning to see everything at one race is something that you choose to do and practice doing. It's not an innate thing. Maybe when you're born, like they say that nobody's born a racist, and that's true.
Right.
But by the time you're 15, 20 years old, you've had some one way or the other, some social integration that's happened in your brain, right? And then you can choose at some point what to do with that, whether you realize that it's bullshit and you can open yourself up, or you don't. But I would argue that everyone to a degree fights those things that were ingrained in them, whether they realize they were ingrained or not. Like my family has a bigger issue with Mexicans. Like I'm talking my extended family, my parents, grandparents, just because of current politics than they do with black guys. It's just a very different perspective. And like growing up, we were always encouraged not that color wasn't an issue, that we had this and that. But then I realized after I got older, like, holy shit, my parents are actually fucking racist as hell. You know what I mean? It was a conscious choice to undo some of that happened when I was younger. I don't know if does that make sense? I don't know if I'm...
Nah, it makes plenty of sense. I'm aware of that, but I've removed myself.
Right, which is
yeah,
but it, you know, you have to acknowledge, because some people are just, and I only say that because you hear that especially with a lot of white people, like, I don't see race. I'm like, bitch, you see race. You're saying this to look good, but to consciously recognize that is a big thing that a lot of people never get to. I guess that's my point.
Do you think that your parents are actively making a choice to be racist, or do you think that that's
I just think
a little bit of the
not
time period they come from, or how they were raised?
I think it's a willingness not to, like, it's a denial, right? Because they can say, well, I don't actively hate black people. I don't hate Mexicans.
Sure.
So therefore I'm not racist. Right. But then it's like, well, because it's...
How do they feel about Mexicans that come here legally?
Right, that's fine. It's just the illegal.
So it's the interesting.
So what I've named it, I guess, is it's more culturalism. Like, it's not that they have a problem with the color of somebody's skin, but their culture and the way that people live is weird. It's a foreign thing. And so like black communities are very much into community and much more like they celebrate together, they mourn together. There's a lot more of that type of thing, or like, you know, I don't know, or like some of the stereotypes or whatever the case may be. And those are weird. We don't like those. Like, I don't have a problem with black people, but I don't like how they do things. You know, it's more that perspective. And same thing now. It's like, well, I don't have a problem.
Thank you for that audio, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome. But like, or it's like, well, I don't have a problem with Mexicans, but God damn it, if they're taking our jobs,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's more of
you
know, which to me is it's a denial, so to speak.
Sure.
You know, it's removing one aspect. It's basically dehumanizing, in my opinion, because it's saying it's removing the color of your skin, but still basing it on your cultural heritage, which is this weird trade-off. It makes you feel better.
Well, you know, one thing that's almost worse than, may even be worse than, is when you hear someone, an older white person, our parents age, where say, yeah, but you know, they just can't help it. I've heard that so many, and you both know you've heard it before from multiple races, but you've heard people say, well, you know, they just can't help it. That's how they were raised. That's the country that they're from.
But part of me, like what you're talking about, like being able to acknowledge the facts, like, yeah, there's differences, but working, like, to me, like a big first step is acknowledging the fact that shit is there, and then choosing awareness and self-awareness to know where those biases lie. And
but y'all said something that was key to me. I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
y'all said something that was key to me when y'all said, I'm okay. I might be okay if they came over here. Not you personally, y'all personally, but
sure.
Y'all was talking about a specific person.
Just Joey.
And they might came over here legally. I'm okay with them coming over here legally, but I might not be okay with them coming over here illegally. So at the end of the day, when I say I believe in oneness, I don't look at the person who came over here legally or illegally any different.
Absolutely.
Because legally, they came over here legally because they could. Illegally, they came over here because of circumstance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They couldn't, but they tried. They fighting for better, even if they come legally or not.
Yep.
That's how I look at it. That's like how I see a person who is selling illegal substances to have a better life. The circumstances caused them to do that because they wanted to have a better life. You know what I mean? They ain't gonna continue to do it forever or whatever, but it's just I don't know oneness. I try to be one with everything.
Right.
Y'all probably think I'm weird if I go.
No, because everything boils down to good or bad choices that we make, right? And if you're in a situation and the only way to better that situation is you only have A or B, and B is the most viable way to do it, that's the way you're going to do it. That's survival. That's caring about the people around you. And so if your options are either to make $8 an hour fucking making fries at McDonald's or making, $1,000 a week fucking selling weed, I know which one I'd fucking pick. You know what I mean? Like, one's more risky, but it's going to take care of your fucking family better. It's all choices, but to me, it's like, how shitty does your life have to be, like in Mexico, if you're going to choose to risk all of these things, losing your kids, losing everything just for a chance at making things better? I mean, that's a type of desperation that there's no empathy for. Like, they don't even see that side of it. Like, oh, they're just illegal. It's like, no, they're wanting to change their lives for the better, and they're willing to risk anything to make that happen.
That's a fact.
I've heard this statement be made before about that. So I'm going to, I don't necessarily feel
you're
this
playing
way.
devil's advocate.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. So they say, all right, so we'll take California for instance.
I'm going to pause just a second. Are you still on your first fucking glass?
Nope.
Okay, just making sure.
No, I did leave a little bit in the bottle for you because you said you were going to drink a lot, and there's not even as much as in your glass now. That's not even that much.
Well,
left
it's only because he called me out. I would have been sipping this thing all night.
I told you there's very little left.
Yeah.
So I'm on y'all level. I'm halfway through the bottle. I'm almost there.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
So I heard the statement, California, for instance, because you have a lot of influx of illegal immigrants there, right, or undocumented Americans, as their governor likes to put it.
Right.
Yet the neighborhoods that they congregate in and live in or whatever, they treat the same as where they've come from in Mexico. Like, you can't even tell a difference, and not by looking at the people, but looking at just the way the neighborhood itself looks, right, things like that. And a lot of the same things, like they're fleeing the cartel sort of atmosphere or whatever, but then you go into that neighborhood and it's a smaller version of the cartel slinging drugs there and the gangs there. And so the people then make the argument, well, if you're trying to escape that, why are you coming over here and then perpetrating the same thing that you're fleeing?
Right.
And I think that they're different. I think that it's an interesting thought, but I think there's a lot more gray there than black and white.
I can tell you what my theory would be.
Okay.
And you can weigh in, but I feel like it's because anytime
they just can't help it. That's how they're raised.
No. There's
that's for your parents say.
No,
that,
there's a type of comfort. You're coming to a strange place. You have this opportunity, but it's really easy to create and fall back a place where you don't feel like a foreigner, and it feels like home. It feels comfortable. And when you're in that situation, those other things, it's easy to arise in, because when you're coming in that position, you're starting in poverty. And poverty is a cyclical mindset, right? Like, it's easy after you're there to stay there. And I think it's just a byproduct of, like, creating some kind of, not intentionally, but creating a type of comfort in a place where they feel very foreign and very separated from the rest of the culture. That would be my
Well, opinion. And I think, to go back to politics,
we're not letting him talk at all. You're being an asshole.
Oh, I'm being an asshole.
I haven't even answered his question, and I have a question for him too.
I got you.
Continue.
So I to go back to politics as far as the cyclical poverty mindset.
And that's all the time we have.
Yeah, sure. I think the left more so than the right, who I'm quite angry with over the last several years of the right, but I think because there's so much welfare pushed by the left, there's this mindset that the left feeds people, where what the fuck, man? Well, there goes mine.
Oh, that was sugar water to you, wasn't it?
Somebody's gonna be here for a while tonight.
Yeah.
So I think the left pushes this thing of, you vote us in because you need us. You can't make it on your own. We're offering you money. We're offering you medical or insurance. We're offering you this because you can't make it on your own, which I think is a terrible thing to feed your constituents. Yeah. But it's an interest to me. That's interesting. You know, you to say it's a cyclical thing. Yet, a lot of can you really blame somebody that votes in somebody offering to give them free shit? You know, I mean, if somebody was offering me, if somebody said, well, I'll give you $1 million if you vote for me, my vote is for sale for $1 million. But I mean,
mine too.
Yeah. And everyone has a price. I think everyone has a price. Although my wife says she has no price, but I think everyone has a price.
Tell me about it.
When you say everyone has a price, you saying everyone's a prostitute.
Yep.
To an extent. Yeah, sure. If you take prostitution and take the sex out of it and you are willing to prostitute your vote, you're willing to prostitute your morals or your loyalty to a company or whatever. Yeah, I think everyone has a price. Some people's price is significantly higher than others. But there's a lot of stuff I'll do for not a lot of money.
So us talking about the poverty in California and stuff like that, I don't know the answer to this. I'm just asking you guys. Why is the places over there called Las Vegas, Los Angeles? Was those originally Mexican?
I think they're named
part of the Mexican country.
I think they're named after, maybe in tribute to the original indigenous people of that area.
I would argue that it's not a tribute.
What do you think it is?
It's a diss.
Trying to save face? Trying to make people think it is? Appropriation.
I hate this word. I hate it so much because it's way overused and put in a much more negative light than it usually is, but I think it's an appropriation thing.
You think it is?
Yeah.
I'm growing.
And I say that because America is based off appropriation. It's a melting pot, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I love part of this culture. So I'm going to, we wouldn't have fucking pizza if it wasn't for appropriation. You know what I mean? Like,
I ate Thai food last night.
Right.
Jesus Christ, I love Thai food.
As a whole,
yeah.
Depending on how it's used, we take these trigger words now. And,
oh yeah, for sure.
And they're as a whole, there's elements of them that aren't bad, but because we have some small elements, we're in a state culturally that we can't separate good from bad or intent, I guess I should say. Right? Now you have to call Asian fusion. Italian fusion. You can't just say this is Italian food, but it's my spin on it, whatever the case may be. It's much more negative to appropriate another culture. It's become a really big deal. But part of that is, to me, part of appreciating that and saying, hey, I really love this aspect of the culture. I want to integrate that into my life because I appreciate it. That's appropriation, but is that negative? You know what I mean? If I really like the Hindu mindset on X, Y, and Z, if I incorporate that into my life, even if it's in how I dress, that's considered appropriation.
Yes.
But if it's something you're using to better yourself,
right.
I don't, then that to me is a different light, but it's all
to me, that's what that falls under the paying tribute thing.
Right.
Because you are recognizing that as a better thing than who you are, and you want to bring that into your life.
Right.
What I heard it said earlier this week that you're no longer allowed to call dreadlocks.
Right.
You have to call them locks now because dread is a negative connotation on locks.
It's interesting.
And I forget what it was, but I forget the rest of it. But yeah, I heard that. And then someone, there's a movie about who's the Egyptian queen? The
Cleopatra. But Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot, whatever her name is playing Cleopatra, and someone called her out and said, there are so many more Egyptian actresses out there that you could have let have this role rather than you play.
But are there that many that are that good to look at though?
Here's the thing that these idiots don't know is Cleopatra wasn't Egyptian. She was Greek. She came to Egypt and then ruled in Egypt. She was Greek. She wasn't even Egyptian.
If Egyptian men was pharaohs, what was the women?
Pharaohs? I don't know. I don't know. Ferrets?
I don't know. I asked
Queens?
you that
I really don't know.
I was about to get deep into a conversation, but I heard y'all talking about food, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
What is our food? Because you said you ate Thai food the other day.
I think people think hamburgers, steaks, hot dogs,
and
that's
our
all
food
just
is everything we've
bastardized
and like
chicken wings,
bland from other countries.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, comparatively to at least Asian culture, American food is so bland. Not as bland as English food.
Oh yeah.
But or food from the UK.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's like we've taken like elements from other cultures and blended it together and made it just kind of meh.
Yeah.
We
made it easy to make.
Yeah.
I mean, that's even spaghetti. I mean,
but not to change subjects, but can I come back and answer the question he asked me earlier? Do you care if I answer
please
that?
I'm ready for Blackness, please.
Blackness, which is a term I've never heard, so I'm going to go off of what my brain went to when you mentioned that, if that's okay. So my correlation automatically went to obviously rednecks, and my thought is there are rednecks in every part of the world. Like people like to think of rednecks as being a southern thing.
Yeah.
But really like rednecks are here. They're in Iowa. They're in fucking Wisconsin. You got rednecks in California.
Sure.
To me, it's what a redneck is, like a redneck. And I'm going to veer into what you asked. But a redneck is somebody that's very ingrained in where they're from, where they are. And they look at that as being the best way to live, the best way to do things. And everything outside of that is either negative or stupid or less than the way they were raised. That's how I view a redneck to be. Like they're very proud of their culture. It's not just like a hick or hillbilly. It's like, man, I'm a redneck. What I believe is how I was raised, and this is just how shit is. You know what I mean? And everybody outside of that is a fucking pussy or a liberal fucking cuck, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So in that definition, I would say yes, that blacknecks would exist just in the same of an Asian neck, or I guess that'd be what
yellow neck.
Yeah, right. Like across cultures, like people that believe that their way of being raised, their upbringing is the only way to do things, and it's the best way to do things. So in that definition, yes, I would say that there are. And in all fairness, I've met some country ass black folks too that are if you're going from just like the southern redneck definition, absolutely. Yeah. I've met people that way that grew up in a very conservative southern. Like I knew a couple black folks from Fayetteville that still flew the Confederate flag, man, because they had ancestors that fought in this, for the Confederacy. Whether that was forced or voluntary, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that type of mindset exists in every culture, in every race, based on that very limited definition. Does that answer your question?
That really answers my question. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Because that would be my definition. Like, granted, it's usually associated with, super white, conservative, everybody else is weird and different, but really that term to me is anybody that considers everything outside of their core upbringing is different or less than or negative. Like that's how that would apply to me.
But me,
go ahead.
Me being a Tennessee man, a real diehard country boy, you know what I'm saying? I might sound, my vocabulary is extremely country to be a black man or whatever.
Right.
From Tennessee. And when I done hung with rednecks. I done drunk Dos Equis with them, chilled with them, got graffiti done on my shirts or whatever. And after they hang with me, they be like, dang, it's nothing different from you than me. Right. You know what I'm saying? And Gatlinburg, I chill with, I got some friends in Gatlinburg, and they don't see no difference in me. They treat me like I'm family. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I know a couple of black niggas.
Yeah. You know what amazes me with a lot of that, and maybe it's changed a lot just recently because I haven't been in the situation, but respect goes a long fucking way. If you're not walking into a room and wanting to throw your dick out, like it covers up a lot. Like if you're going in and hanging out with some white ass redneck bitches. You know, like if you're showing respect for them and just wanting to hang out and be whatever, then it goes a long way. If you're not feeling the need to prove who you are, or you feel like you have to prove something from the color of your skin. Like I don't know if I've told the story on here. I probably have, but like I love blues. Not that I'm versed in the like great artist in blues history. I just enjoy live music. And I went to a bar a couple times. I went to a bar in Memphis to see some blues, and I've been like the only white dude in a room. And at first it's really weird, but as soon as I show that I'm just there for the music, like I'm not there to be an asshole, I buy somebody a drink, then it's all good after that, because there's a mutual respect for whatever is happening, right? Because I'm not there to show any type of bullshit. Like I recognize like this is your community bar, like whatever. I'm just here for the music, man. I'm just here to hang out and be part of whatever the experience that's going on. And that goes a long ways, as opposed to walking in, somebody looking at me weird and be like, what the fuck are you looking at, bitch? You know what I mean? It's having that respect goes so far in most situations. I just hit the table.
You did.
But
it doesn't have to be tension in no kind of way, like the objective way of thinking.
But that
people can appreciate that.
That takes humility, though, from an individual standpoint. You have to be willing to put your pride aside to recognize the situation you're in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I know a lot of people that would walk into a bar like that, get the proverbial stink eye from people because it's like, I don't know. I mean, you walk into any local dive bar,
right?
People are going to look at you, because even if you're a white guy walking in, it's mostly white people, they're going to look at you because you're not a regular. They don't know you, and they're going to look at you strange. But I know so many people that would walk into there, people look at them and then end up, like you said, starting a fight, because it's like, why would you look at me like, man? Because you don't come here. It's not that you don't belong here. No one knows you. So like if you're a new student at a school, everybody looks at you strange because they don't know you.
Right. And not to equate the two, but growing up in the 90s, I had a lip ring, I had the tattoos, and this was in a small southern town. And it wasn't acceptable. But, you know, if I bowed up and tried to be an asshole because of that, it was going to be trouble for me. And again, when you get into race, it gets a lot different. You can't compare the two, because some people, like, I can come in with a lip ring and they're going to be like, oh, you're a fag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But most of the time in the South, being gay is a little less hated than being black or Mexican or whatever the case may be. They're not the same, for sure. But if you have a baseline of respect, no matter what the cause is, it at least is a great starting point to bridge some issues that are going on. Like if you're not coming in trying to prove yourself, you know, does that make sense?
That makes plenty of sense.
Because like I'm confident enough in who I am, and if you're confident enough to be who you are, it's easier to be humble in a situation where you don't necessarily have to be. You know. Anyway, I actually have a question for you. Since we're on the race thing, which I love, by the way, like we've talked about this, like, I mean, I really enjoy people that are open enough to be able to talk about race, because it can be a very uncomfortable topic and people get really offended easily. And it's the same way.
Eazzy's the only black person we've ever heard say the word cunt.
Oh, I got him to say cunt. I was
Stephen
so happy about
Eazzy to say cunt.
But, hey, that's number 2. No, what I told him was like, I've never heard an African American say cunt in my life. Like it's a very white, especially Irish type of term. And he was like, oh fuck, I'll say cunt. And I was like, oh, that's a victory for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I was
I got you. Go ahead. I know.
You asshole. But I've always found it anyway. Before that, I was saying, like, I really appreciate, you don't get many people nowadays, I feel like, that are willing to have what could be awkward or uncomfortable or even tense conversations about this stuff, because obviously
I love it.
My upbringing is definitely different than your upbringing. That's definitely than Joey's, and having the open-mindedness to discuss those things, regardless of any difference of opinion, is a really rare thing to have nowadays. And it's something that I really value, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, Stephen and I had very different upbringings. Like my parents divorced very young. His parents are still together. I went to public school almost my whole life. Stephen was homeschooled most of his formative years, and we both did grow up in church. But I mean, like I got married very young, and I'm still almost 21 years into the marriage. Stephen got married very
I'm
young.
I'm on my third.
And he's on his third marriage. So we've had very different lives, but I don't think that there's anyone else in this world that could tolerate either of us, for the amount of time that we've been friends.
So here's my question for you.
Yes, sir.
And this is something that I've witnessed and I understand. I have seen it. I know exists, but I want your opinion on it. And that is racism within your own race.
I was about to ask y'all that.
Yeah, because like what I've seen is there's a hierarchy, so to speak, in the African American or Black community. There's a hierarchy in the Hispanic or Spanish community. There's definitely one in the Asian community. White folks kind of have it, but it's more of based on where you're from, not so much I guess more of like your demographic. So it's not as much of a racism. It's more, it's in white culture, in my opinion, it's more of a culturalism. It's like, I'm better than you because of where I was raised. So I'm interested to get your viewpoint on racism, for lack of a better word.
I might get killed for this by the African American community. I might get killed for it, but
yeah. And I'm talking about not towards white people. I'm talking within like the
I know.
Okay.
I know
okay.
exactly.
I'm just clarifying.
And I'm tipsy for it, and I might get killed by the African American race, but for what I'm about to say. But you said the Caucasian race.
Mm-hmm.
You said Spanish. You said Italian. Everybody know who they are, besides the African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not African American.
Right.
That's a title. I'm American. I never seen Africa. You know what I mean?
Dude, 100. I have made that argument before, but it sounds way worse when I do it. So go ahead.
I don't know what the hell Africa look like. The weather, none of that. I'm American at the end of the day. And all of those people know their original background, their people, where their people are located, where they're from and everything. But we don't, as African Americans, don't know anything. And within our own race, we are not even a race. At the end of the day, we are the newest race on the planet.
Okay.
To be honest, because we're just a mix of a whole bunch of stuff at the end of the day. I'm not African American. That means there's white in me, there's Italian in me, there might be Viking in me, there might be Australian in me, it might be African in me, but since I'm African, that's the dominant because they say Africans was the original people. Yeah, but they say that that's the dominant thing because I have a little bit of African in me. I'm African, but I have a whole bunch in me, to be honest. And I'm not African American. I'm American because I don't know nothing but North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Maryland, D.C., Florida. I haven't been nowhere besides those places. So at the end of the day, I can see. I don't went all the way around your question.
No, man, you're right on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask that because I was in the military with a dude. He was Puerto Rican, and he was giving me the hierarchy of a lot of Hispanic-based cultures. And he was like, Spaniards from Spain are at the top. And I think what was like one of them wasn't Puerto Rican. It wasn't Cubans. It
Peruvian?
No, it wasn't Peruvians. Like there's this hierarchy, and there's one of them that were like at the very bottom. Yeah. And he was like, this is a strict hierarchy in like Hispanic communities. And I've talked to a couple Black guys and those the same way. They're like, the darker your skin, the more respected you are in certain communities in the Black community. And the same thing with Asians. It's like the Malaysians are at the very bottom, like the Chinese and Japanese are at the top, like depending on the continent that your people are from. Is this weird hierarchy even within their own race of people. And I think white people have that a little bit, but not nearly. It's more of like, oh, you're from the South, you're a piece of shit.
Or what version of Christianity you partake in. Right?
Yeah, which is a whole different thing.
So name another race that can't originate where they're from.
Ooh. I would say Asians to a point. They have a very diverse background of where they're from. I think white people like to say they're from, like every white person I know either says, I'm from Ireland, I'm from Scotland, or a part of my family is Native American. Like that's the three.
It's interesting. You just named two of mine right there.
Right.
So at the end of the day, the Caucasian race is similar to the African American race now.
Yeah. Well, what I find funny, and I'm going to ask you your opinion on this because I'm curious to know, because this has been one of my theories, because I believe a lot of, like, staying on the political side, Republican and Democrats are two sides of the same coin, right? They're very different extremes, but in the end, it's all about control of whatever fucking people group they want to be in control over. So I have this theory that really staunch redneck white racist people, and really again, I'm talking about the impoverished trailer park, like nothing other than hating black people and working in a factory, like those two, you know, those mindsets, and really impoverished black people from the ghetto that know nothing but drugs, whatever. And one group hates all white people, one group hates all black people. I argue a lot that the mindset, the origin of it is the exact same thing. Like there's more in common between the two than either group will admit.
Can we play a game? I want to play a game with you.
Is it called Who's That Racist?
No.
No, okay.
No, can we please play a game?
No,
Yeah,
please.
Because I agree with everything you said. That was gold. This podcast should have 1 million views off of what you just said. Because we are exactly the
From
same.
your mouth to God's ears.
Okay, so
I'm going to interrupt you for 2 seconds, and I'm looking at this camera, and even with my arms crossed, I can see the side of my gut hanging over my
that's the alcoholic beverage now.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, my friend, please.
Okay. I want you to respond to me with what you think black people do, the opposite of what black people do. And I'm going to say what I think white people do. And we're not racist people. It's just our thought process.
No, absolutely.
White guys smoke Marlboro Reds. What black guys smoke?
That's the funniest shit because Steven smokes Marlboro Reds.
And I'm gonna say Newports.
I would have said Newports or Cools, but I also worked with a guy that's a black guy about my age that smokes Newports.
Yeah, that's like Chris Rock, man. He's one of that favorite line from his. But anyway.
Okay, I got one for you now. White guys drink Mountain Dew. What black guys drink?
Orange.
Soda. It's
grape drink.
Orange.
It both. Shit. Orange or grape drink.
But I worked in fast food when I was a teenager, and every black person that came through said, "Give me orange." When I said, "What would you like to drink?" "Give me orange."
Okay.
And it was we had Sunkist, I think, or whatever.
Okay. Black guys.
I like this game.
Okay. Black guys' favorite fruit is watermelon. What is white guys? I made that easy for you.
What is white guys' favorite fruit?
Apples or bananas, dude. Something's not
for me. I was gonna say
oranges,
peaches for me.
Oh yeah, peaches. That's
peaches
a good one
for me.
Okay.
What would you have said? A white guy's favorite fruit is what?
Apples.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean,
apple trees and apples.
Granny Smith apples.
Yeah. Okay. Y'all already know the answer to this one. White guys' ghetto is trailer parks. Where the black guys' ghetto at? It's
the project or the hood.
Yeah, the hood, or they got stoops.
Yeah, the stoop and the projects. Yeah, the projects. Yeah, it's the same thing. We the same, man.
Yeah, dude, 100%.
We just call it different things.
It's different sides of the same fucking coin.
Yeah.
And
you should run for president.
And I'm going to speak. This is very, very broad strokes, right? And this is just anecdotal from people that I've known and have spoken with, because I love asking inappropriate questions to people just to learn. I love to learn from people. And like I've told Joey, and it's less nowadays, but I had a friend of mine in the military that's hardcore butch lesbian. And I asked her, I was like, listen, like I have questions. I don't want to be ignorant. I don't want to be insensitive, but I want to know these things so in the future I can be more educated, right? So that's how I am. But in a lot of, and I know this isn't a popular perspective nowadays, but in the two people groups like this that I've spoken with, a lot of black guys from the ghetto are told in a lot of ways that white people are oppressors. There's a lot of, they're basically taught to hate white people to one degree or another, which to me is more valid, but it's the same thing that really redneck impoverished people are told about, like white people or black people, Mexicans, that they're less than. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's the same baseline that they both come from, and it's division from the very beginning on up, and it takes a lot to get to the place where you're willing to question that and say, you know what, I'm not biting that fucking bait anymore, and I'm willing to go over X, Y, or Z. You know what I mean? And
I understand exactly what you're saying. I think that's God's purpose.
Yeah,
I think that's the world's purpose, division. Right. And I think God's purpose is unity.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, something I think about a lot, and I think it's true, and it's become a big term, and that's the term of white privilege, right? And I can 100% recognize the fact that because of my upbringing, and especially in certain areas and certain parts of industry, like the color of my skin absolutely does give me an advantage. Like, that's just how the nation has been built up, right? But that doesn't negate the amount of effort I've put in and the work I've done to get to where I've gone, right? It makes it, there's been some areas that I've been, I've having a leg up in because of that, right? But there's other areas, depending on what it is, that there's advantage that people won't recognize. And I'm treading on really, really thin ground here, and I'm not trying to be an asshole, because I will say in certain industries, it is much harder to be black than white. 100%.
And there's certain industries that it's much harder to be white than black. There is a such thing also. It's called black privilege.
Absolutely. That's kind of what I was trying to tiptoe around to say.
So,
but
give me an example of what you would say is black privilege, because you're the first person I've ever heard use the term black privilege.
I wanted to talk to him about this. No,
you're the first person I've ever heard to use the term black privilege that wasn't a right-wing, closed-minded, semi or full-blown racist.
Before we go there, I got to express my gratitude for you being willing to be open and talking about this shit. Like, I'm grateful for you to be on this podcast.
Fresh air.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to do a part 2, man. I ain't saying I got a long time, or I ain't trying to cut it short. You know what I mean? Because I heard my lady downstairs. I'm about to put a ring on this woman.
I got you, man.
She acting up down there. I heard the voice down there. But at the end of the day, to me, black privilege is, okay, so they say white privilege is that if a police officer pull you over and you're drunk, you might not get a DUI. I will get a DUI. You know what I mean? Because I'm a black guy.
Or worse. And go ahead.
Black privilege is certain things within the black community I can do that would be uncomfortable to a white guy. You know what I mean? For him to do. You can't just go into the black community and do whatever you please, because you would feel uncomfortable even attempting to do that.
Right.
But it's a privilege of me just being able to walk in and get a cheeseburger from Aunt Joanne or something, or just get some, you know what I mean? It's certain things that black people can do. And some black guys don't even look at that as a privilege.
I have a prime example of that I haven't thought about since probably it happened, but I was 18 years old and I was hanging out with a friend of mine that was white and a friend of mine that was black after a football game on a Friday night in the small town of Pulaski, Tennessee. And we were like, what are we going to do? I'm kind of hungry. What do you want to get? And shit was closed. I mean, it's a small town. Shit was closed down at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And the black friend that I'm hanging out with says, let's go here. And he says, just go up here, turn. And we went down to the area that they called it the north side of town. And that's where the projects were. And he said, no one knows this is here unless you have lived in this area or if you know someone who lives in this area. He said, just pull in here and then pull in this little side. And we get there and we walk in, and it's this tiny little restaurant the size of this room that we're amazing. In. It was the fucking best food I've ever had in my life. And it was just burgers and fries is what they were fixing at the time. And he said, we'll go here. They had great burger at this time of night. We went in there and we got it and we left, went back to one of our houses or whatever and hung out. And I said, I've never knew that this place was here. And he's like, yeah, you can't go in there without me. Like, you can't go into that place without me. So when you said that, that flooded that memory back into my head. I was like, oh shit, that's exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And I know you said you've got to go soon, but I'm going to say that all of that, and it's more prevalent because of where our culture has came from, but all of it on either side of the coin is fear-based. All of it.
Ooh. And that's I wanted to talk to you about fear, and you hit it on the nose. I'm sorry for cutting you off. You're a military man, and I know you understand that fear and the promotion of it.
Yeah, well, it's because the whole thing is, and it's been used prevalently, like the whole reason, like weed became illegal was because it was put on, well, the Mexicans are going to come and rape your women and take your kids. And it was the same thing with the black community. Like, this is illegal now because the blacks are going to come and ruin your children. And then the same thing is like, it's spread within the black community because all the white guys are just going to take advantage of you. And they basically want to enslave you all over. Like, everything from all sides, like the more fear that exists, the less likely that we are to have open conversations and to actually work out differences and become a better people, because as long as you're afraid of something, you're not going to approach it with an open mind. Mm-hmm. You're always going to have this wall that's there because of the fear of that difference.
Yeah.
Mm. I find that, yeah.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, man.
Yeah. All right. So I think that this is a good time for us to take our break. And then we can also let you go. I know your lady's there, and you said you hear her acting up. So.
Hey, you want me to tell you something that we got to talk about when I come back for part 2? And
which, by the way, you are welcome anytime on this podcast.
When's the next time you're going to actually be in Knoxville? Do you know now?
It's going to be Christmas, or it's going to be my birthday, which is in January.
Okay.
Yeah, my birthday's in January.
If you want to make time, even if it's not on a Saturday, we'll make time and we'll have you on in person.
Yeah, for sure.
If you want to come on.
I would highly appreciate that. And also, I want to say thank y'all for letting me be on the podcast, man. It was a blessing to be in you guys' presence. And when I come back for part 2, we're going to have to speak on veganism, because I'm about to go downstairs and cook my girl a whole cow.
Nice.
She's a little bitty girl. She don't weigh nothing but 110 pounds, and she won't eat cow, and I won't eat lettuce and tomatoes and stuff. So we got to talk about that, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, so we're going to let us keep you on the line for just a second so we can chat for just a minute off the air. And for everyone listening, we'll be right back.
And, dude, hey, one more time, thank you. We are privileged to have you on this podcast. It has been an absolute fucking pleasure to talk to you.
100%.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it. Chill.
Hey, everybody. We'd like to take a minute to tell you about a really cool podcasting app called Stitcher Premium.
Yeah, Stitcher Premium is, like you said, a free app, and they've got everything you could look for: true crime, comedy, pop culture, The Office ladies. I think Conan O'Brien's podcast is on there. There's lots of things on there.
And archives of all those things.
Oh, yeah. And smart lists.
Yeah, the smart lists. That's what I was about to say, you fuck. Smart lists basically will watch what you're listening to, or listen to what you're listening to, use some fancy algorithms, and make recommendations on shit that you already like.
Yeah, so if you go to Stitcher.com/premium and use the code B3F, you can get a month free. So it's $4.99 a month, or $34.99 if you pay for a full year. But use the code B3F and you'll get a free month.
Check it out. All right.
And we're back.
So our, hey, I notice you're saying that every now and then.
Yeah, I know. I'll just try to see if you notice it when I say it.
Well, I hate to do it. I hate to so much.
Go ahead.
But I have to give you props.
That's
dude.
fine. Go ahead.
What a great fucking guest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not, I mean, it's just lucked out by
I mean, we met him. Like, I feel like every week you pour something on you.
Yeah. Better than get it squirted on me.
That's what I was going to say. Is like, I can stop you from getting Coke on you if you need something put on you.
No, I'm good.
But no, I mean, just as much as I'm not a believer in luck, I mean, I guess it's just fortuitous.
Serendipitous.
Yeah, that we met him through Eazzy, which was another great guest, and
which I love Eazzy. He was awesome, but
yeah.
I will say he was more. I like talking.
Well, it
to
was
him.
a different type of episode,
Yeah.
different conversation.
I can't say I like him more. That would be an unfair thing to say.
Yeah. Eazzy was super fun. Like, yeah, would have Eazzy back.
Let me put it this way:
as quick.
Eazzy was more from a fun perspective, but
Absolutely.
from a conversational perspective, he was fucking outstanding.
Yeah. So,
but I'm always a fan of people that are willing to have open conversations about uncomfortable things.
Yes.
Yeah, because we'll joke about everything, whatever, but it's nice to have,
right.
I don't know. I enjoy those conversations.
Yeah.
Very much.
Well,
what do you fucking keep looking at?
I saw something outside.
You see ghosts and shit?
I saw something outside. No,
Which next week we got some paranormal investigators on.
We do. We'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah. I'm excited about that.
No, I understand that.
Talk some ghost shit.
So remind me in a moment to tell you something that I've been watching, or I started watching.
Because you know who doesn't see skin color? Fucking dead people.
Maybe they do.
Maybe they do. Maybe they only... I heard this thing, and maybe you said this too, like that it's funny to be that only like Victorian era ghosts haunt people. Like prior to the Victorian era, there were no ghosts. Just
sure.
You don't hear about cave people haunting people.
You also don't hear about slaves, like the ghosts of slaves haunting people.
Oh, yes,
I've heard people seeing the ghosts, but not haunting people.
Oh, I have.
The same way that these...
Because of like violent and evil oppression.
Sure.
Absolutely,
right.
I've heard that.
I've not heard of that before.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
we should have asked Trevor about that.
And also going back even prior to that, like I've heard things about from like slave traders and then the violence and shit that took place in some of those eras, haunting the fuck out of places. But
so
anyway,
as far as conversation goes, we both feel like this is one of the best conversations we've had,
so good.
If not the best.
And he was such a fucking cool dude.
Yeah, for sure.
And we got to have fucking Snoop wine, or I guess it's not Snoop wine. It's what
19 Crimes.
19
it's
Crimes.
The Cali Red with Snoop on the bottle. So
it's awesome.
But if you enjoyed this episode, please, share it even if you didn't enjoy it. But if you enjoyed it, like I feel like it was a great conversation that we had, and I'm very proud of us for not making some of the jokes that could have been made here and there because it was a conversation that didn't need that.
Right, absolutely. That's what I was going to say. Like it wasn't. It would have detracted from what we were talking about. But yeah.
So anyway, just
which to plug, by the way, for anything, if people have listened this far or still listening, and we were told we need to get a little more specific with this, but we have the thing on our website that tell us what you really think.
Yeah.
Link on the thing, and you can comment there. It's totally anonymous. You can tell us good things. You can tell us what we should tell about this last episode. You can tell us terrible things. We like the terrible. We like hate mail. We like being told that we're awful human beings. But that's a great place for feedback in general. If you want to speak, unless you're like a fucking Nick who's an idiot and put his name in there, but we don't know who you are.
Well, somebody else commented and it was obvious who it was as well. Right. But anyway.
But see, I'm a big fan though of I shouldn't say unbiased, but feedback when there's no name attached, because then we can't put a bias on it.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So anyway, do that.
Fucking cute motherfucker.
The cutest.
The cute one.
No, there's. I'm pretty sure they said the cutest, and you said the funniest.
No, you're the cute one. I'm the funny one.
Okay. Fact check me this week and come back next week with it.
Yeah, I'm not arguing because every argument we've ever had on this podcast, I've been fucking wrong, which is the polar opposite of you know me well enough that I usually will not argue about shit with other people unless I know I'm right.
I think unless you really think you're right.
Right. But again, usually I've done the research or I know something for a fact. It's the same like I won't make a bet that I know I can't win, with the exception of this podcast. I'm talking about outside of this, but it upsets me greatly that you've bested me on every argument, every bet, everything.
Competition,
it sucks because I know I'm better than you.
My sister asked me today because they're in Knoxville for the game, how
is your and Steven's, like, how's your weight loss thing going? I was like, well, that was over in March. She's
Yeah.
like, oh, I thought you guys were just continuing this. I was like, no.
Oh, why? Why would we do that?
Absolutely not. Although someone commented on one of our photos that
you look slim.
Slender.
Slender.
Slender. I am Slender Man.
Yeah, you are Slender Man, which in reality, you look as portly and fat as I do. You just...
I don't think I do.
Oh, I do. Absolutely,
so.
You do.
Okay.
But on camera, you have better posture than me. And you also don't like I slump.
Why.
I just slump over and let it all hang out. That's
So my niece said today, decided she wanted to move in with, my niece is 4, decided she wanted to move in with me and my wife. And I said, well, you can't come over today because I have someone coming over to the house today, and he does not like kids. And I said, he absolutely no. I said he's coming over to the house today, and he's a mean person. That's what I said. And my sister said yes, and he does not like kids. I said yeah, and he's super fat. Like he'll just eat you or whatever. And then my sister goes, "It's funny because we're trying to be funny, but we're saying just true things."
Fuck your sister, man. Oh my God.
So anyway,
I think she's just secretly butthurt that I say shit that offends her from time to time.
I think probably.
Yeah.
So, and if they were in Knoxville without the kids, then we would be recording an episode tonight to release later. But
talking about the fake wage gap and
right. Well,
male privilege.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, so
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say back to that conversation we just had.
What was his name again?
Trevor. We're going to be on one or both of his podcasts at some point in the hopefully near future. We're working out dates with him. We will let everyone know when that's going to come up. He's sending us some songs that he just recently recorded. They're unreleased, but we're going to pick one of them to tag on the end of this episode, so you'll hear that in a few minutes. But go give his podcast a listen, the Trevor Jackson Podcast and the Two Brothas Podcast, Brothas, Two Brothas Podcast.
Right, and are they on all the platforms as well?
I think so. Know. But
because in true form, I did no research. I looked up nothing before this episode.
So they also do live to Facebook Live and other platforms, and that's most Saturday mornings around 10 or 11 Eastern time.
Yeah.
They're on Facebook Live, and they're the Two Brothas. There's a Two Brothas group on Facebook, and so anyway.
And their podcast is exponentially more popular than ours is.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We only have people on here in hopes to garner some fans.
Yeah, if you're out there listening and you think you might be a guest, just know we're using you for our own benefit.
If you're out there and you can bring us consistent listens, like people that will listen and then continue to listen, hit us up. We'll have you as a guest.
But in all fairness, though, like if would you listen to this podcast on a regular basis? You're a big podcast consumer. Would you listen to this podcast?
I don't know. It's hard for me to say if I would or not because I'm on it. So it's hard for me to really.
You can't be unbiased. You can't separate yourself from that.
No, I don't trust that subconsciously I'm being biased.
Interesting.
I'm not sure.
I can tell you right now, I would tune into it. I would feel the same about our podcast as I do about the Bill Burr podcast. Okay. I enjoy it in doses, but as a whole, it's grating on my nerves and I don't enjoy it.
See, I am so super loyal to that podcast. I listen to
I'm just saying
episode.
comparatively, how I feel about that is how I would feel about that.
Well, I listen.
Same thing with Adam Carolla, or same thing with even Joe Rogan. Like I
listen to Joe Rogan depending on who his guest is.
Joe Rogan doesn't grate me, but it bores the shit out of me from time to time.
Really?
Yeah.
See, it doesn't me because their conversations go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah.
Which is one thing I like about
but
us.
But in all fairness, I'm not interested in many things,
outside of yourself.
Outside of myself. Yeah.
I got you.
Like I enjoy conversations about things that I think about because I think, we all think about all kinds of shit. But I mean, like, I don't care about someone's celebrity or where they came from. That shit doesn't matter to me. But when I have somebody's I guess when I'm listening to somebody else asking the questions. But if I'm having the conversation, it's a much different point of interest than listen to somebody else ask the questions.
So I'm similar to that, except I am super interested in two or more comedians talking to each other and hearing the stories from as they come up through comedy and things like that.
See, that doesn't matter to me. Like I like Joe Rogan well enough. I think he's a great interviewer. I care. It's kind of like listening to Mark Maron's interviews. Right. Like he gets great shit out of the people he interviews.
When he doesn't talk over them.
And that interests me, but I don't give a shit about what he's asking or saying. And like Joe Rogan's kind of the same way. He's an interesting dude. But like when he's on there talking to people, they have great conversations, but I don't care about any fucking thing that he has to say in that conversation.
Gotcha.
And even though he has some great points and he has some great viewpoints, he has some shit whatever the case may be, like I'm interested in who he's talking to. But granted, also, I lose interest after a little bit because like
his stuff is super long form.
Right. Well, it's the same reason though I don't watch sports, right? Yeah. Because I feel like granted, it probably is nothing valuable at all, but I have other shit I'd rather spend my time doing. Like I lose interest in, like I grew up playing sports. Like I played some. I was never like pro level, but I was a decent baseball player. I was fucking goddamn good at like fighting and shit, and I was decent at some other stuff, but I never took it seriously enough because I had other shit I'd rather be doing. It's no more or no less valuable, but it's stuff that I enjoyed more. Yeah, and that's kind of how I am. It's like we talk shit about me hating sports, and it's just because like.
You enjoy playing sports. You don't enjoy watching sports.
Well, I always, most of the time with like football, like college football, I like to make fun of it because we've talked about this. It's funny to me that people have no correlation to a school whatsoever. Sure. Will orbit their life.
They live and die by that.
Right. Yeah. And I find that ridiculous. And like for me, like UT football, like I have no ties to the school other than like your daughter goes there, but I don't give a shit about it. None of what they do matters to me. So whatever. And professional sports are the same way. They have no bearing. Like I enjoy watching hockey. So I would go to a Predators game if I didn't have to pay $1 billion for a fucking ticket. Right. Ice Bears, I can go for $20. So it's worth going to me because I enjoy watching hockey. But like, I remember when I was little going to an NFL game and realizing that they took timeouts basically for commercial breaks. And I was like, this is stupid.
It's interesting because they didn't used to do that when you were little. Yeah. They've only started doing that in the last 20 years.
Yeah. 20 years ago.
You were 19.
No, because I went when I was like 14, 13, 14.
It was very rare for football games back then to have commercial timeouts.
Dallas Cowboys did.
All right, maybe the Cowboys did.
Yeah, because I mean, I think I went there, I was 13, 14, but I remember going to that and I was like, this is dumb. Like, I don't want to sit and wait for commercial. And that's a stupid thing to annoy me, but it did.
Yeah, they do it now. They'll walk out on the field with the clock, and you can see the time counting down to the comeback. But
I've gone to a few Major League Baseball games, like going to them in person. Like, I won't watch it on TV, but I enjoy the experience of going to some of these places. Yeah. Like, when I lived in Baltimore, it was great because the Orioles had no one showing up ever. Yeah. Because it was, post-Cal Ripken days. So I enjoyed going because I didn't have to deal with crowds and didn't have to deal with all that shit. But so all that coming back to like the podcast, because it's nothing that piques my interest all the time. Like I'll listen to clips here and there, but for the most part, it doesn't. Like I find other things for me that I'd rather invest my time.
Well, you listen to music the way I listen to podcasts. Yes. Like you feel I listen to podcasts in my busy times.
Right.
So while I'm sitting at my desk at work,
see that's funny to me.
I was painting today, which actually I had the football game on in the background, but I fully intended to turn on an episode of Joe Rogan.
See, if I'm working or actively doing something, I can't listen to music. I can't listen to podcasts. Really? I can't listen to shit. Like I have to focus.
Now, if I'm reading something, like if there's a long email I'm going to reading and get details out of, I have to pause whatever because I don't want to miss what I'm listening to, and I can't give my attention.
See, I can't focus. Like if I'm working, I can have, depending on the type of music, I can have it playing in the background, not in headphones or shit. But like say I'm working in our warehouse, like I have to have. But if I'm having to focus, no, there's nothing. Yeah,
if I'm having to put together a presentation at work or whatever, I've got a podcast in my ear because
I can't do it.
I can listen and it helps to pass the time.
Yes, I can't do that at all. Like the only time I ever did working is when I used to have to solder circuit boards. I could put headphones in because it was brainless. Like I didn't have to think, but I have to critically think about shit. No, I need my own brain waves going on. That's interesting to me. Because I know a lot of people that are like that, but I'm not like that at all. For certain like menial tasks, I like background music, but otherwise, no.
Well, look, you don't have a mental illness. Mental illness has you. So, anyway, so
I'm going to be going to a new psych soon, by the way, regardless of some of that. Yeah.
Okay, nice. See if they want to come on and talk.
All right. No, I think I've been misdiagnosed, and I'm going to go talk to them.
Are you tripolar?
No.
What? Oh.
No. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't want to, because you're an asshole, and so I don't want to dig into it too much. Not through the VA though, because if I'm right about the diagnosis, then the VA doesn't recognize it as a valid disability, so I'll lose all my fucking VA money. So I'm going to a civilian doctor to talk to about it, because as far as they're concerned, I'm keeping that shit for as long as I live.
They don't have access to that, though? They can't gain access to that?
No, not without permission.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's HIPAA. You can't share medical information without that.
I just thought medical.
But what I think it is,
could share with medical is what I thought.
No, not without permission, like doctor to doctor. But the reason is, though, is because what I think that you know me well enough, we give each other shit, but in all fairness, I'm pretty self-aware as far as how I operate and how my brain works and all of that shit. For the most part, you got to give me that much. And just doing some reading and research, and it's something I've joked about a lot, but I've read some articles recently that I feel like that the particular diagnosis that I think that I have that touches a lot of the similar points as the bipolar, but it fits much, much better. But there's no medication for it. There's no whatever. It's therapy and what the fuck else ever. But I'm interested to see what the doc says. I'm going to be making an appointment here soon, so I'm interested about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I have nothing to say. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. I don't know what
we can talk about it if you want. I don't give a shit.
No. We intended to come back.
I'm just setting it up that way. Sure. It takes a little bit of your ammunition away to fucking punch me in the fucking asshole, which is what you would do.
Whatever. Yeah. Anyway,
which we've gotten way off topic, but
we're doing what we didn't want to do.
Why? I wanted to do this.
No, we said make it short.
No, I understand making it short, but we're having valid conversation. We're just not talking about what we're doing next week, which is what we were doing the last time we just ran over for fucking ever.
Sure. All right.
You're done talking, though. You've already closed down.
No, it's not that. It's like I don't.
You've shut yourself down emotionally to me.
What can I say about what you're talking about?
I wish we'd have talked about mental illness some with him. That we have to make a note that that's some shit I want to talk about. I don't have one in front of me. God damn it.
No, you said it over there.
Oh yeah. No, because it's interesting to me how mental illness is treated in the black community versus the white community, especially now. Yeah. This whole mental illness fucking crusade that so many people are on.
Make a mental note.
That's done.
To tell.
I have
him about it.
Dude, I have a notebook of mental notes in my brain that whenever I speak with someone, just fucking goes away.
It's like you put them in a filing cabinet and lock it so they don't go anywhere. And you forget.
Well, I come on the notes and then they get smudged and I can't read them anymore.
So I was going to tell you, I took your advice and I started watching last night, The Haunting of Hill House.
Okay.
I enjoyed the first episode.
Okay.
I very much did. I've only seen the one.
Yep.
Because I have to watch it after my wife goes to bed. She's not into that.
Right.
So I'll probably watch episode 2 tonight. When I finish that, I hear that was it Haunting of Blythe House or something?
Blythe Manor.
Blythe Manor. Is that what it is? Blythe. Bly Manor. Okay. I heard that was good, so I'll probably move along to that.
It's not nearly as good as
Is it not? Okay.
It's enjoyable. Okay.
A completely different scenario on that one?
Different feel entirely. So I will put
No. I'm talking about different family, different everything.
Oh, absolutely. So if you have the same
like
actors,
American Horror Story was.
Yeah, kind of.
And I didn't watch that, but I know.
So I will put it this way, not to ruin it for you. Haunting of Hill House is pretty great all the way through. The very end of it is not a letdown, but I know you well enough. You're like me. You're going to walk away back. That could have been better.
So I got to ask you, do you remember the first episode of Hill House? At the end, when he walked in and he spoke to the sister, did you know immediately?
Yeah.
That was a ghost? I did too.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to be like, there's a few things you'll figure out. I think there'll be a couple of things that are going to catch you off guard.
Well, the whole time, if you think like I do, you see the title of the episode is Steven Sees a Ghost.
Right.
And he tells the lady he's at the house, I've never seen one before.
Right.
And so your thought is, oh, well, maybe he'll see her husband.
Right.
And then he doesn't.
Right.
And then he walks into the apartment and he talks to her and she doesn't say anything and the dad calls, whatever. And as soon as he spoke to her, I was like, oh, yeah, that's her ghost.
No, for sure. For sure. No, it's one of those shows that there'll be a few things, like, and at least that's for me, because we think you're much more analytical, but a lot of those things we're both we pick up on. We're not stupid. So we can think of things critically enough to be like, this is probably going to happen. Yeah. But I do think there'll be a couple of things you're going to be like, I did not see that coming. So
that's what she said.
Yeah. So here's the thing about both, and not to detract you from it. The Haunting of Hill House I thought was great. The last episode I think could have been stronger had they not tied up some ends that were there.
You're saying they needed an extra episode?
No. I feel like they went out of their way to put a nice bow on a couple things to add closure to them instead of leaving them open.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
So not that it was bad, but like I like things that don't end up neat and pretty. I like them to be fucking messy and fucked up because that's how life is.
I like that as well. Yes.
So the Bly Manor, it's really enjoyable, but they took all the best parts about Haunting of Hill House, they threw them in there and then dumbed them all down for everybody else. Because it's almost like they took the feedback and people were like, I didn't get when they did that. Like, why did that happen? And they like the last episode of Bly Manor, they literally explained everything that occurred, like almost step by step in the episode. And I was like, what the fuck, guys?
So I can't remember what you said about Hill House, if you thought it was a scary show.
Yeah.
You did think it was scary?
Scary is the wrong word. I thought it was adequately creepy for what it did as it goes on. Like there's some parts that are uneasy.
More so than the first episode?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get that feeling in the first episode.
And
I enjoyed it.
Right. And scary is the wrong word, right?
Yeah, okay.
But there are some parts of it that are kind of like, you know, type of thing. Like it's not, to me, it's a very is a strong word. Excuse me for that. It's much more of a smart horror series than most.
I got you.
Yeah. So it's more of like a,
At the beginning of the first episode, when they're all children and the girl's crying and they go and she says the crooked neck lady or whatever, and then the dad tells her whatever, and he walks out and the camera's from this angle and you can see behind. Like I could see that the woman is coming out of there before she ever moved or came out. Like a full 2 minutes ahead of time. I'm like, she's there and she's fixing to come out. And I don't like that.
Right.
I don't like that I have that superpower.
That's fair. And so like when I say there's going to be some things you probably won't expect, it's not going to be things like that as much as just plot points that are going to be like, oh, that kind of came out of left field. It makes sense, but I didn't quite see it. It wasn't telegraphed as much as Steve.
So I want to ask these spiritualists that we're going to have on here next week.
They're not spiritualists.
I know, I'm just kidding. What movies, shows, or whatever are most like the experiences or things that they've seen?
For a change, that's a good question.
For a change. Anyway.
I think by far, okay, here's a question for you. Out of all the episodes we've had, and at this point, we've had more episodes than the average independent podcast out there. Like more than 2 or 3 combined.
I think the average is like 24.
Yeah, and we're at like 2,000 episodes at this point. We do need to have like a circle jerk for our fucking 100th. But so as a whole, which episode do you think I've asked the worst or most stupid questions on that have not furthered or helped the conversation whatsoever?
I don't know.
Okay, let me reword that then. Which episode do you feel like I detracted more from the conversation than I added? Is that
anytime you're not interested in whatever me and the other person are talking about?
What are you talking?
If you're genuinely not interested, you won't just come right out and go, "This shit is boring." Next, you just make stupid comments and ask stupid questions.
When have I done that?
Just anytime you're not interested.
Like,
I can't tell you one right off the top of my head, but I know I feel like that often.
Well, you know me well enough. Well, like I know it annoyed the shit out of you on the one with Don when I was looking shit up on my phone while you guys were talking about the mask up Knoxville. Because you made a couple comments about it. You were like,
didn't annoy me.
Okay.
I just knew you weren't interested.
Yeah.
But then also you said something about you're looking for something.
And I was looking for something.
I just generally just trust.
I have a specific episode in mind. I was hoping that you would come from too, where like I don't feel like the questions added. I feel like they detracted or were not even detracted, but just were. I feel like the episode with Brian from Born This Way, like some of the questions I was just like, why the fuck are you asking that? Because I called you out on it once. You're like, it's because the people listening may not know. And I'm like, who the fuck the people listening?
So in that particular episode, I had a couple of people in mind of questions I knew that they would ask. Right. And I was just like, fuck it, I'm asking.
But again, that's why it's not that, because I know you're not an idiot. Well, I mean, you're an idiot, but you're not an idiot.
Sure.
And I knew you asked those specifically because of like some type of, you knew people would want to know the questions to. But I know you well enough to know that you didn't need to know. So I was like, why the fuck are you asking? Like, who gives a shit what people listening or want to think?
I care what they.
I know you do. I don't give a fuck. But that was the one episode I can think of.
If I could ever get you to give a fuck, we would be unstoppable.
That's not true at all.
I think it would.
Part of our allure is I don't give a fuck.
I don't think it is. I think you are wrong again.
I do give a what do I not give a fuck about?
I think this. I feel like this could be a whole episode because now we're 25 minutes.
I don't give a shit. I want to know at this point. What do I not give a fuck about? I don't give a fuck about what you think, but what do I not give a fuck about?
I think you care much less about this than I do.
Okay, I would disagree.
Okay. You don't know how much I care about it, so fine.
Well, you don't know how much I don't care about it.
I cry every night that every night that we don't surpass 100 listens. I cry.
All right.
No. I think maybe care is not the right word, but I do think, and I was going to say it's less important, but I don't think that importance is not even the right word.
I can tell you how I kind of see the whole thing.
Go ahead.
This is just me.
It's my podcast, and you're my every week guest.
Exactly. No, I feel like it's very different perspectives on how we approach things. Like we've talked about this before. We approach things. I'm very much by like, I'll whip my dick out and go, and you are much more meticulous in how you plan or look at things because you like to feel prepared. But I feel like the way that we look at our personal value to the podcast very differently.
You think so?
Yeah. And I think we view each other's viewpoint and how we approach the podcast as negative is the wrong word, but less effective than our own.
Okay.
So like, I feel like part of the appeal of the podcast, I'm not even talking, and it's even a difference in viewing our roles. Like, I feel like we have these preconceived roles based on our character traits that we both feel like we fill in the podcast. And we both are self-fulfilling prophecies to a point. But I think our view, like in my brain, you've always been more prepared. You've always planned for shit. And so you're more meticulous with certain things. And for me, I've never given a fuck about anything. I've always just thrown myself into it. And so in my brain, to a point, those are the roles we fill on the podcast. Like, I just come on willy-nilly, and that's my charm. That's what I do.
Charm might be the wrong word.
Right. Well, I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying.
I look at, and again, this is being very, very over-analytical about it, and it sounds stupid as shit, but like, I feel like I come on as the wild card. Like, because I'm not prepared. I'm going off whatever's saying, conversation, blah, blah, blah. That's actually a negative thing a lot of times. Like, you know what I mean? But in my brain, like, that's what I bring. You bring the preparation. You bring the glue that holds the thing together. And I bring the fucking shit that tears the whole goddamn thing apart half the time. And I think that's what I see as that dynamic is what makes this podcast awesome, in my opinion. You view those two things as like me coming on not preparing as being like a negative thing for the podcast.
Okay. So
does that make sense? Like, I over-explained it.
No, I think I got you. So now I want to go back and answer your question. Like, what you
did I ask a question? I was just
you did. You asked me what episode
I got
or whatever did I think you asked things or whatever that you tried
that I took away from the
Sure. I think it's this episode.
Really?
Because the last 15 to 20 minutes have completely detracted from what the first hour and 20 minutes of this podcast
I'm in
was.
with the guest. God damn it. Sure. People could turn it off at the break and they'd know no different.
Understand that. They expect more out of us.
I can cut this off sooner. I can cut off after 5 minutes mid-word and it'll just be over.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You've been wanting to be done for a while.
No, it's not that I've been wanting to be done. I felt like we were done. I felt like organically it was a end of an episode.
Mm-hmm.
And now I felt like I feel like we are trying to go on without Michael Scott.
Really?
No. Because I enjoyed The Office after Michael Scott left.
See, that's, again, how we view things differently. Sure. I feel like this has been a fairly natural progression. And granted, it's not as deep and it's not as meaningful as the first half of the episode.
Sure.
But we've still talked about shit.
Yeah. You know? Shit.
You don't enjoy this as much as I do. This is the part of the podcast I enjoy more than you.
I absolutely enjoy this. I don't enjoy at the end of what the first of this. I feel like this goes with last week.
You're overthinking it.
This is a feeling, not a thought.
No, it's a feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a thought. It's a feeling.
Thanks, Elmer Fudd.
It's a feeling. Fuck me. All right. On that note, do you want to cut this off now? Are you done? Are you fucking done talking?
No.
Okay. You want to talk about?
I really. Oh, I do actually.
Okay.
And now I've lost it. Like, I legitimately had something else I was going to say, and I've lost it now.
See, I was just going to play his track over the top of this last bit, so you just hear like little bits of us talking, and it doesn't matter.
I don't do that, because then you detract from his song.
Just like I detract from your life.
I don't. You subtract from it. No, I had something else, and I can't remember what it was. I honestly can't. But anyway, I was going to tell you that I watched Haunting of Hill House. Right. I started watching it.
And that took away entirely from the first half of this episode.
It did, but fuck, we were already there.
It's true.
Anyway, I don't.
All right. Well, next week we got the Paranormal Investigators, which I believe is the Knoxville Ghost Seekers, I think is the name of the group.
I think that's what you put it in the calendar as.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. But like I will say, like I said, props to you. Like Trevor was like the best guest. Like he was so fun to talk to.
Yeah, if you want to hear good, interesting conversation, go listen to Trevor Jackson Podcast and the Two Brothas Podcast, and beg Troy to have us on the Two Brothas Podcast.
Troy and Abed in the morning.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right, brother.
All right. Till next time.
Yeah.
Give us a thumbs up on Facebook at B3F Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at B3F Podcast and on Instagram at B3F_podcast. Send us your questions or comments to bfff.podcast@gmail.com. Rate us and review us wherever you listen to the show. And as always, thanks for listening.